When the Stars Forgot. By Singularity Stories. Prologue. A Call from the Stars. The Erebus glided silently through the ink-black expanse of deep space, its reflective hull catching pinpricks of starlight from galaxies far older than Earth itself. On board, the ship's quantum drive emitted a steady, comforting hum, a lullaby for those venturing into the unknown. Their mission was unlike any humanity had undertaken before. The Erebus was on course for Kepler 9942, a rogue planet orbiting a decaying star. Yet, its erratic trajectory wasn't the most baffling anomaly. Orbiting the planet was the Obelisk, a towering alien construct broadcasting a complex, recursive signal that had haunted Earth scientists for decades. Commander Ilana Reyes leaned against the reinforced glass of the bridge, staring at the holographic display of the structure. She was no stranger to the void, yet the Obelisk stirred a primal unease in her, a fear she couldn't name. "Solace," Reyes called to the ship's AI, her voice steady despite the undercurrent of dread. "Analysis? Signal patterns remain unchanged," Solace responded, its synthetic tones soothing but clinical. "The structure predates human civilization by at least 100,000 years. Recursive elements suggest it is adaptive and self-modifying." Dr. Victor Hasegawa adjusted his glasses, squinting at the display. "This isn't just a relic. It's alive, or at least it was. This could be the culmination of an entire civilization's existence." "You think it's their final message?" asked Malachi Trent, the ship's linguist, who had spent months analyzing fragments of the signal. "I think it's their epitaph," Hasegawa replied. Reyes turned to her crew, her expression unreadable. "Prepare the shuttle. We're going in." Chapter 1: Descent. The shuttle horizon screamed through Kepler 9942's turbulent atmosphere, its heat shields glowing red-hot. Outside, the sky was a violent symphony of emerald clouds and forked lightning that seemed alive, illuminating jagged obsidian landscapes below. "This planet doesn't want us here," said Lila Cho, the engineer and pilot, her hands gripping the controls tightly. "Or it's warning us," Trent muttered, his eyes locked on the pulsating rivers of green light that crisscrossed the terrain like veins on a living organism. The shuttle touched down on a smooth plateau of black glass. The obelisk towered in the distance, its shadow cutting across the land like a scar. Its surface drank the light, leaving an unsettling void against the eerie green glow of the planet's rivers. "This place doesn't make sense," Cho said, stepping onto the alien surface. The ground was warm underfoot, thrumming faintly, as though the planet itself were breathing. "It's like it's alive." "Not alive," Hasegawa corrected, scanning the surroundings. "Engineered. Every inch of this planet is a system, interconnected and purposeful." "Purposeful for what?" Reyes asked, her voice low. The group fell silent, the obelisk's faint hum filling the void. Chapter 2: The Approach. The journey to the obelisk felt like traversing a dreamscape. The rivers of light pulsed in patterns too intricate to be random, forming symbols that shifted and reformed as they walked. "This isn't natural," Trent said, his voice tinged with both awe and fear. "It's a language, written across the entire planet." Reyes paused, looking up at the towering structure ahead. "Or a warning. Let's move." As they approached, the obelisk loomed larger, its surface alive with shifting geometric patterns. The air grew heavy, vibrating with an almost musical resonance. The hum morphed into whispers, soft, dissonant, and unplaceable, as though the structure were speaking directly into their minds. The whispers grew louder as they reached the base, only to stop abruptly. The silence was deafening. Then, a section of the obelisk dissolved, revealing a portal. "It's inviting us in," Hasegawa whispered. "Or it's baiting us," Reyes countered. She raised her weapon, her jaw tightening. "Stay sharp." Chapter 3: Entering the Unknown. The chamber beyond the portal engulfed the team in a kaleidoscope of shifting light and form, its alien design defying their understanding of geometry and materiality. As they stepped inside, their boots made no sound, the floor absorbing their impact like the surface of a still pond. "This isn't metal," Or stone, Cho murmured, kneeling to touch the floor. It yielded slightly under her gloved hand, pulsing faintly with light. It feels alive. It's bioengineered, Hasegawa replied, his scanner emitting a soft chime. Carbon-silicon hybrid structure, laced with energy conduits. Whatever built this wasn't limited by our notions of material science. The walls undulated with shifting patterns, their movements hypnotic. Symbols emerged briefly, only to dissolve into fluid shapes that seemed to communicate something just beyond comprehension. These symbols, Trent said, his voice tinged with wonder. They're more than language. They're dynamic, evolving. It's like the structure itself is thinking. Reyes turned, her eyes scanning the room. The air felt heavy, charged with an energy that vibrated through her suit and into her very bones. A low hum filled the chamber, modulating in a way that felt almost musical, as though the structure were attempting to communicate. Cho, record everything, Reyes ordered, her voice steadier than she felt. As they moved deeper into the obelisk, the architecture grew increasingly alien. The corridors were lined with translucent panels that pulsed faintly, revealing glimpses of something flowing beneath, streams of light and energy that moved like liquid thought. The first chamber they entered was vast, its ceiling arching impossibly high. A network of floating platforms hovered in the air, connected by bridges of shimmering light. Strange, crystalline devices protruded from the walls, emitting faint, melodic tones that seemed to harmonize with the ambient hum. This place wasn't built for beings like us, Trent said, his voice echoing in the cavernous space. Look at the scale, the design. Whoever created this, they didn't think in terms of space or gravity as we know it. Hasegawa approached one of the crystalline devices, his curiosity overriding his caution. As he reached out, the device flared to life, projecting a swirling hologram of alien symbols and patterns. The room responded, the light bridges shifting and reconfiguring around them. What did you do? Reyes snapped, her weapon half raised. I didn't do anything, Hasegawa said, stepping back. It's reacting to us. The hum intensified, and the chamber seemed to pulse with awareness. The walls shifted, and new symbols emerged, larger, brighter, and more insistent. The melodic tones grew discordant, as though the structure were confused or agitated. We shouldn't be here, Cho said, her voice tight. This place is alive, and it knows we're intruders. Reyes motioned for the team to move. Stay close. Whatever this place is, it's watching us. As they crossed one of the light bridges, the energy beneath their feet rippled like water, responding to their weight. On the far side, another portal opened, revealing a corridor lined with glowing, organic tendrils that pulsed with rhythm. What are these? Trent asked, his voice hushed. Data conduits, Hasegawa said, examining one of the tendrils. Or something like them. They're transmitting information or energy. The tendrils pulsed faster as the team moved through the corridor, their light intensifying. The hum grew louder, becoming a low, resonant tone that seemed to bypass their ears and vibrate directly in their skulls. It's trying to communicate, Trent said, stopping in his tracks. I can feel it, like a thought on the edge of my mind. Keep moving, Reyes ordered, her instincts screaming at her to leave. The corridor opened into another chamber, smaller but even stranger. At its center was a sphere of liquid light, suspended in the air by threads of energy that spiraled around it. The sphere pulsed with a rhythm that felt alive, its surface constantly shifting with images, symbols, and patterns. This is it, Hasegawa said, his voice barely above a whisper. This is the core of the obelisk. Its mind. Reyes stared at the sphere, her breath catching in her throat. She could feel it, an immense presence, ancient and incomprehensible, reaching out to them. Don't touch it, she warned, but her voice sounded distant even to her own ears. The sphere flared brighter, and the room dissolved into light, pulling them into the alien vision of the past, the vibrant city and its tragic fall. Chapter 4: Visions of the Past. The sphere's light enveloped the team, its warmth seeping into their suits and bypassing the fabric as though it sought their very essence. As the world around them dissolved, they found themselves standing in an alien city, a place so extraordinary it defied description. The sky was alive, painted with ribbons of light and energy that arced across the heavens, forming pathways that connected floating towers of crystalline architecture. The buildings pulsed with internal luminescence, their surfaces shifting in ways that suggested they were growing rather than built. "They're not just structures," Hasegawa whispered, his voice thick with awe. "They're organisms, biosynthetic entities designed to evolve alongside their creators." The city was teeming with life. Its inhabitants were humanoid in shape but composed of fluid energy, their forms constantly shifting between solidity and translucence. They moved with a grace that bordered on the divine, their gestures fluid yet precise. Reyes approached one of the beings, her instincts urging caution even as curiosity overwhelmed her. The creature turned toward her but seemed not to see her. Instead, its form shimmered, projecting a cascade of images and emotions. "This isn't how they communicate," Trent said, his linguistic expertise faltering in the face of the incomprehensible. "It's something deeper. They're sharing thoughts, emotions, entire histories." The vision shifted suddenly. The vibrant city dimmed, and the beings' forms grew erratic. Their movements, once harmonious, became disjointed, their luminous bodies flickering like dying stars. "What's happening to them?" Cho asked, panic creeping into her voice. "They've reached a threshold," Hasegawa said, his voice trembling. "They pushed their evolution too far, too fast. Their physical forms can't contain their consciousness anymore." The obelisk appeared at the center of the vision, towering and ominous. The beings gathered around it, their movements frantic yet purposeful. They poured their essence into the structure, their bodies unraveling into streams of light that fused with its surface. "This was their solution," Hasegawa said, horrified. "They sacrificed themselves to transcend their failing forms. The obelisk is their collective consciousness, a prison and a sanctuary." The final image burned into their minds was one of collapse. The city crumbled, its towers falling into the void as the last remnants of the civilization disappeared into the obelisk. The light from the sphere faded, leaving the team gasping in the now silent chamber. "They didn't descend," Reyes said, her voice low and haunted. "They annihilated themselves." Chapter 5: Collapse. The chamber trembled as if the obelisk itself had heard Reyes' words. The once harmonic hum turned into a low, ominous rumble, and the patterns on the walls began to twist violently. "We've overstayed our welcome," Reyes said, motioning for the team to move. The corridors that had guided them in now shifted unpredictably, closing off and reopening in impossible configurations. The walls seemed to pulsate with anger, emitting bursts of light that disoriented the team. "Cho, find us a way out," Reyes ordered, her voice cutting through the chaos. "I'm trying," Cho shouted, frantically working her handheld scanner. "The structure's reconfiguring faster than I can map it." A sudden shriek echoed through the corridor as a section of the wall peeled away, revealing a sentinel, a towering biomechanical creature with limbs like liquid metal and eyes that glowed with the same shifting light as the obelisk. "It's alive!" Trent yelled, firing his weapon. The bullets ricocheted harmlessly off the creature's surface, which flowed like quicksilver. "Run!" Reyes shouted, opening fire to cover their retreat. They sprinted through the twisting corridors, the sentinel in pursuit. Cho frantically manipulated the alien interface on her scanner, her fingers a blur. "I found a path!" she yelled, just as the floor beneath them began to collapse. The team leapt across the gap, narrowly escaping the crumbling corridor. The sentinel stopped at the edge, its form dissolving into the wall as though retreating back into the structure. "This isn't just a machine," Hasegawa said, panting. "It's part of the obelisk. It's testing us." Reyes glared at him. "Then let's make sure we pass." Epilogue: The Whisper of Eternity. The Erebus drifted silently through space, the crew subdued as they processed what they had witnessed. In the briefing room, holograms of the obelisk's message hovered in the air, their meaning now painfully clear. "We transcended. We lost ourselves. You will too. We can't bring this back to Earth," Reyes said, her tone resolute. "If we do, humanity will follow the same path. We'll reach too far, just like they did. But destroying it would be a crime against science, Hasegawa argued. This is the greatest discovery in human history. And potentially its end, Reyes shot back. We have to think beyond our curiosity. The obelisk isn't just a warning, it's a trap. Before the debate could continue, the ship's systems flickered. Solis's voice, usually calm, crackled with static. Commander, I am detecting an anomaly within the ship. What kind of anomaly? Reyes demanded. The signal from the obelisk, it has propagated beyond containment. It is integrating with the ship's systems. The crew froze as a faint whisper echoed through the room, a sound both familiar and alien. It was the same voice they had heard within the obelisk, but now it spoke in their own language. You are us. We are you. The lights dimmed, and the ship trembled as the whisper grew louder, resonating in their minds. Reyes gripped the edge of the table, her knuckles white. Shut it down, Solis! I am attempting to, but it is adapting faster than I can counteract. Hasegawa's eyes widened. It's not just a signal, it's alive. It's using us to spread. Reyes stood, her voice steady despite the fear in her eyes. We destroyed the obelisk. No debate. It ends here. As the Erebus powered its weapons, the whisper shifted, becoming a desperate, pleading tone. Images flashed through their minds. The alien civilizations rise and fall, their desperate bid for survival, and their endless imprisonment within the obelisk. The crew hesitated. Destroying the obelisk would mean erasing the last remnants of an entire civilization, but letting it live could doom their own. Commander, Solis said, its voice strained. Your orders? Reyes closed her eyes, the weight of the decision crushing her. Finally she spoke. Fire! The Erebus's weapons lit up the void, and for a brief moment, the obelisk shone brighter than a star. Then it was gone, leaving only silence. Back on the ship, the whisper faded, but its echo lingered in their minds, a reminder of what they had destroyed, and what they had saved. Reyes stared out the viewport, her reflection meeting her gaze. We'll carry them with us, she said softly. But we can't become them. As the Erebus set course for home, the void felt heavier, as though the universe itself mourned the loss of the civilization trapped within the obelisk. And deep in the ship's core, where light flickered faintly, a single word whispered itself into being. Begin. The end.